Hello and welcome to Your Broken Galaxy. I am Broken, and today I'm going to do the next fight in my 128 character Star Wars Versus series. It is Yaddle versus Satine Kryze. So, Yaddle walks into the throne room on Mandalore, and Satine is like, Master Jedi, the Mandalorian people have decided to choose a path of peace. And Yaddle is like, oh no, this simply will not do. And Satine is like, what? And Yaddle says, the forces of Mandalore must help against the Separatists. Without you, we'll all be lost. And Satine says, I have spoken. So Yaddle says, I challenge you for leadership of Mandalore. And Satine is like, what? And Yaddle says, it is in your laws, anyone can challenge you. And Satine is like, why? That's ridiculous. And Yaddle says, no, I checked. It's still the law. So Satine calls over a lawyer, and after a few minutes of hushed talking, she says, darn it, why in the world didn't we repeal that immediately after I was elected? Fine. Yaddle, give me a second to get ready. So, Yaddle smirks and is like, oh, of course. So Satine withdraws and dons her armor. It is freaking glorious. It is gold-plated Beskar encrusted with jewels and had two mythosaur teeth that had been filed down and placed on the sides of the helmet to make the helmet itself take on the appearance of a mythosaur. She grabs the darksaber in one hand, a blaster in the other. Mandalore will finally win peace after I kill you, she says. Now Yaddle is noticeably, incredibly concerned by this and says, I thought you were a pacifist. And she says, yeah, but I was raised on Mandalore. I might be a pacifist, but growing up I learned how to fight with the best of them. I'm gonna kill you now and then disband our armies. So Yaddle ignites her lightsaber, and Satine ignites her darksaber. Then she uses her jetpack to rush, firing flames from two separate flame projectors, one on each wrist. Yaddle's eyes grow wide as she jumps out of the way. Turning around, Satine slashes down with the darksaber, while simultaneously firing her blaster. Yaddle can't block both, so she is forced to dodge the saber with the narrowest of margins, and batting away a few blaster bolts. She force jumps, but as she is flipping through the air like a green pinball, Satine uses her knee-mounted rockets to fire. Yaddle uses the force to push the rockets away, but they explode well before she could redirect them towards Satine. When Yaddle lands, Satine is already firing her blaster again and charging in, shooting a whipcord from her gauntlet on her darksaber hand. Yaddle raises her hand and redirects the whipcord while batting away another two blaster bolts. Satine swings the darksaber horizontally at Yaddle, who jumps in the air, clearing it by just an inch. While flipping upside down, she swings her saber at Satine, who does nothing to block it. The saber bounces off of her Beskar helmet, melting the gold exterior while leaving the inner lining completely untouched. Satine follows through with her initial swing and pivots her wrist for her backhand, causing Yaddle to have to duck. As the blade passes by harmlessly over her, Satine fires her whistling birds. Yaddle throws up both hands, dropping her saber in order to stop all the tiny projectiles. She manages to have stopped all but one, which hit her in the leg. As Yaddle hits the ground, Satine tries to stomp on her head and simultaneously slash at her legs with her saber. Yaddle rolls away and calls her own saber back with the force, and Satine shoots the last bit of her flamethrower at Yaddle. She raises her hand to create a bubble around herself with the force, but through the flames, Satine rockets into Yaddle, knocking her to the ground again and shattering her arm. My lady, Yaddle says, I'm afraid I can't beat you. I concede. Very well, Master Jedi, Satine responds. As Yaddle stands and pulls her lightsaber back to herself, she extinguishes the blade and walks towards Satine. She extends her good hand as if to shake hands with Satine, but just as she gets in range of Satine, Yaddle pulls her lightsaber to her already extended hand and lunges forward towards Satine's chest. The blade strikes and stays on the Beskar, not penetrating it, and Yaddle looks down to her own chest to see that Satine had kicked her in the heart with a blade affixed to her boot. Just like a Jedi, you surrender and then try to assassinate someone under a false flag. War criminals, the lot of you, Satine says. Yaddle falls to the ground dead, and Satine says, finally, we can have peace. Now someone call the chef. We're gonna have ears for dinner tonight. So that is my video for today. My patrons, all two of them voted on this one, and they both voted for someone different, which means that I had to flip a coin, and Satine was the one that ended up winning this fight. If you'd like to vote, go ahead and sign up for my Patreon at any level. Beyond that, I mentioned at the very end of this one, eating ears. That's a callback to one of my other videos, the 10 alien species I would most like to eat. If you would like to check that out, I would be grateful. It should be on the screen right now. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and all that garbage.